Welcome everyone. In here we are going to discuss about the plain text attack on multi-cloud environment. We mainly target about database, how we fragment database, method used to store fragmented database in cloud server, what is plain text and ciphertext. Also we discuss about the encryption methods and their attacks. Let's start. First of all, we want to discuss about what is the database. In traditional methods, we call that is collection of tables with set of relationship. You can find every data in one place. But think, if you want to add more and more data into your server, you have to face some problem. It get all the resources from one place. Server, processor, hard disk, RAM, everything. Solution is you should upgrade your database server, actually processor, you have to replace it, you have to buy new RAM, another hard disk, update drivers like this. Now it's become higher maintenance cost. One day, if you reach the highest point of the upgrade, what is your solution? Don't be afraid, that's a solution. We call that is distributed database technology. Actually, there's a single logical database. It's stored across two or more physical locations. There is a combination of set of physical locations. All act like one logical database. There's methods to handle all physical locations as a single logical database. We call that is fragmentation. Fragmentation divide your data in efficient way to store separate location. Whether your database is object-oriented database or relational database, fragmentation divide it without doing any harm to your data. It's a technique split and decompose a single class or logical data table of a database into two or more partitions for future reuse by combination of the partitions. Support to rebuild the original database without any loss of information. There are a set of advantages in fragmentation. It's reduce the processing of irrelevant data access. Normally at available set of separate location. If you want to access any kind of data, database just want to access relevant physical servers only. Produce accurate data. Accuracy is it's act like a single logical database. Then there's some high accuracy. Reducing the number of disk access impact to the disk IOs. System want to read useful database servers only when it can reduce number of disk IOs. Now it can help to improve the performance of your database. There are three types of fragmentation types. One is horizontal fragmentation, and next one is vertical fragmentation, and last one hybrid, or we call that's the mixed fragmentation. Horizontal fragmentation is you fragment the table through rows or tuples of your table. Divide its tuples and store that tuples in the physical storage. And next one is vertical fragmentation. Fragment a table via columns or fields. You should remember keep the relationship as it is. Each fragment set must include the primary key attribute. And the last one is mixed fragmentation. You can use vertical fragmentation or horizontal fragmentation or combination of both methods. Excuse me, yes, what about security? In here you should consider about the security, because this is not the one place and one path. This is separate location with separate path. Yes, there is a secure way to fragment and dispersal your database. There are using some encryption method. In here we want to talk about the encryption methods and important part in security of the encryption. First one is the electronic code book, and the first generation methods, they using the advanced encryption standard, most of basic from the block cipher encryption. The ciphertext mean that is the encrypted or encoded information, it contains a form of original plain text. Plain text means the actual data. We can change it, encrypt it some part, that is the form of original plain text, unreadable by the human or computer without the specific method or decryption method. Original data is there but totally in the different format. The secure fragmentation, we know the method SW block ciphers, that method using chaining between blocks. Actually that's a good idea. Now only the data also its take dependencies create inside the ciphertext by a block cipher encryption method with symmetric key. CBC, cipher block chaining. The method, each cipher block is dependent on all plain text blocks processed up to that point. This adds an extra level of complexity to the encrypted data. Main word is in here, we want to talk about the initialization vector, that is the ciphergraphy. An initialization vector, or normally we call the starting variable, is a fixed size input to a cipher primitive that is typically required to be random or pseudo random. Actually initial vector used along with the secret key for data encryption. How CBC or cipher block chaining is work? Normally they get the part of the plain text and using the initialization vector and they block cipher encryption build with the encryption key, and finally they can get the ciphertext. Then it's get the next part of the plain text. Now it's join that one with the previous ciphertext and using the encryption key, and I weave for the block cipher encryption and it build the ciphertext. Again get the another part of the plain text and again it's joined with the previous ciphertext and block cipher encryption, and finally with the encryption key and build the part of the ciphertext. It's work as a chain, finally merge all ciphertext and fragment it. At the end, ciphertext fragments are scattered over multiple distributed storage servers belongs to 2 or more independent storage clouds. Now the question is, actually cipher block chaining has been most commonly used mode of the operation. There are separate drawbacks. Encryption each block one after other, that's been sequential order, because one ciphertext depend on the previous ciphertext. Therefore, at least you can't do 2 encryption parallelly. So it's restrict the parallel encryption, then it slow down the process. You can't make it faster. There's a main attack we want to discuss about it. A plain text attack. If initialization vector is not completely random, someone can modify the initialization vector of an encrypted wireless packet during the transmission. Then attacker learn the plain text of one packet. Next attacker can compute with the RC4 key stream. This is the algorithm encrypt 1 byte at a time, generate by using the initialization vector used. You can generate the initialization vector, changing the encryption key and check whether they can create the original ciphertext. This key stream can be used decrypt all. If the encryption key can create the original ciphertext, now the attacker knows this is the correct encryption key. Finally, it leaks a large amount of data. So if you are encrypting a very large message, attacker can glean much more information than you expected. finally, we talk about few methods in plaintext encryption, but there are a set of attack on multi-cloud environment, related key attack, non-key attack, side channel attacks. The main reason is everyone has a path to build the connection with cloud environment. CBC, cipher blockchaining, a complex encrypted method, but unfortunately there are some issues. Thank you.